All right, Notre Dame fans, we're back with another edition of WOPU Wednesdays, as always, brought to you by Augie's Locker Room. I know the regular season is over, but if you find, well, it's about to be over once Notre Dame heads to Stanford and plays the Cardinal for one last regular season game. But if you find yourself in South Bend for some basketball games, hockey games, whatever it may be, baseball right around the corner in the spring, definitely stop in to Augie's Locker Room. A lot of really cool things to see and possibly purchase if you're a Notre Dame fan. Anyway, we've got another member of WOPU Nation on with us. He's a freshman, so he's a relatively new member of WOPU Nation. He's Chris Salerno, a freshman punter and kicker for Notre Dame. Chris, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing great. And obviously, Notre Dame fans, if you watch these installments of WAPU Wednesdays, or if you're just a fan of Notre Dame football, you probably recognize the name Salerno. Chris Salerno is Matt Salerno's brother. We've had Matt on before, another member of WAPU Wednesdays, WAPU Nation, that is. And really cool family, really cool stories. Obviously, Chris is the younger brother in the Salerno family, but I guess we'll start with that. How awesome is it to walk on to the same football program as your brother, especially a place like Notre Dame? And how did that all unfold? It's pretty unique for two kids in the same family to walk on to the same team, like I said, especially at a place like Notre Dame.
Yes, it's been great to walk on with my brother and just enjoy playing sports with him. When we were younger, we obviously have a 3-year age difference, so we never got to play many sports together. But that first time running out of the tunnel together was pretty special when you look next to you and you see your brother and you're both living out your dreams together. So that's been a great time seeing him at practice and just seeing him every day. Um, I would say what led us both here was we both grew up huge Notre Dame fans, and so we always dreamed of playing football here. So he got here, and then as I was going through high school, this was my number one goal, was to get here and walk on. So he helped me out, told me who to talk to, kind of helped me with the admissions process as well, and helped me once I got in here. I announced that I was walking on and was able to join him here.
So obviously you play vastly different position from your brother as a kicker and a punter. He's more of a wide receiver, punt returner. How stressful was that for you? Just kind of figuring out what your future would be. Obviously, there's not a lot of spots for kickers and punters on college football rosters. Uh, did it take up until the 11th hour to figure out that you were going Notre Dame, or how did all that sort out?
I felt like when I first started playing football my freshman year of high school, I assumed I'd be playing more receiver or somewhere on defense, outside linebacker, where I started my freshman year. And then as I went through high school, I started to realize that I enjoyed kicking more, and that was more where my passion was. So I continued to play receiver, but kicked as well and focused more on my kicking. And it did kind of take a long time to figure out where I was going. In my mind, I always kind of figured I'd end up at Notre Dame, but definitely a long process and waiting for admissions to get back to you. And then once they did in December, I knew immediately that's where I wanted to be.
For a kid who always grew up rooting for Notre Dame, strong Notre Dame supporter all of your life, what was that moment like when you signed the papers and you knew that you were going to be a Notre Dame football player?
That was really special, signing the papers with my parents and my grandfather, and just the entire experience of like knowing that I would be here come the fall. And honestly, I don't think the smile left my face for probably a week or so because I was so happy that I knew my dreams would finally come true.
And you mentioned running out of the tunnel with your brother. What's it been like just, having your brother on the same college campus as you, not just for, football practices and on Saturdays at football games, but just being able to have that guidance, on and off the field?
I find it pretty funny because I've never seen him outside of football on campus. For whatever reason, we tend to never run into each other. But it's been great to have him around. I can always text him and ask him questions, and I have gone over to his apartment on the weekends sometimes and hang out with him, watch football. So that's been great just to have that support system here. Notre Dame offers us a bunch of different support systems, but to have a family member here is really special and helpful.
Yeah, I guess you guys are really busy off the field, so it makes sense that maybe you don't run into him as much as some people might think. So along those lines, what are you studying at Notre Dame, and what do you hope to get out of the academic side of what this institution offers, and what that might lead to in a life after football?
I'm currently studying business analytics and economics, and right now I'm not too sure about what I want to do in the future with that. I think that's the great part of Notre Dame is you take so many different courses that you eventually find what you're looking for. Right now, probably leaning more towards doing something in business analytics, but the economics going along with it is a great tie-in, and they've offered me a great chance to double major and take advantage of all the opportunities and connections that they have here at Notre Dame.
So I guess kind of going back to the pre-process of getting to Notre Dame, we understand you also played soccer, also played lacrosse in high school. So is there an alternate universe where you're not a football player at Notre Dame? Maybe you're playing lacrosse somewhere or soccer somewhere, or how did that all unfold while you're playing all three of those sports in high school? And was there ever a future for you in either of those other two?
Well, I always played soccer, especially when I was younger, and didn't pick up football and lacrosse until high school. So I would not have been surprised had I ended up playing soccer somewhere. But as I went through high school, I started to realize that football was more where my passion was, and didn't really push in the recruiting process in the other two sports. So I figured that football would be the sport I'd end up playing in college if I played a sport. But had I pushed harder in lacrosse or soccer, I think there could have been an opportunity if I was looking for it, and had more intention with those two sports and put more time and effort into them.
So as I mentioned earlier, one regular season game left for Notre Dame this season. Then it's on to the postseason, whether that be the college football playoff or a New Year's Six bowl game. You guys have had a really awesome season, a really great year. But is there one moment that you can point to in your first year at Notre Dame that you say, "Man, that was really awesome"? 10-1, a lot of really good moments to choose from. But I'm sure there's something that you keep going back to.
The first time running out of the tunnel was very special. It's an amazing feeling every time, but the first time is so unique because you kind of don't know what to expect. And I mean, I went to a small high school, so I never played in front of a large number of fans, but running out in front of a full Notre Dame stadium was pretty amazing. And I remember my grandfather telling me that you can run out of that tunnel 100 times, but it will never be the same as the first time you run out. And I'm starting to agree with him more and more as I played longer here.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be something you never forget and something you cherish every single time you get to do it. So we won't let you out of here before we ask you what we ask every member of WAPU Nation. It's really cool that you guys have struck up a deal with Augie's Locker Room. You guys can go and get WAPU Nation t-shirts from Augie's Locker Room. I have one myself. Really awesome shirt. Uh, for you, what does Augie's Locker Room mean to you? I understand that all of WAPU Nation went in there and checked everything out. As somebody who grew up rooting for Notre Dame, I'm sure there were a lot of really cool things in there that you got to see and kind of just put a smile on your face.
Yeah, like you said, as a lifelong Notre Dame fan, it's really cool to go back and see all this memorabilia, especially from games that I remember. And then obviously I haven't been around Notre Dame that long. I'm only 18 years old, but seeing the stuff from a long time ago, back when we were winning championships, and everything that they have in there is just really cool. And it's definitely a place you want to check out when you're in South Bend, whether it's for a football game or a basketball game. Just go check out Augie's Locker Room. They have a lot of stuff, and it's worthwhile.
Well, Chris, you've got a long Notre Dame career ahead of you. I'm sure with the way things are trending, there will be some really cool memorabilia in there from your career and your playing days at Notre Dame. So, really awesome that you get to be a part of this. And just thank you for joining us and taking time out of your night on a game week to do this WAPU Wednesdays video with us.
Thank you for having me.